I never thought a cartoon could ruin my life. I know how that sounds. Melodramatic, maybe even a little ridiculous. But if you'd seen what I saw, if you'd lived through what I did, you'd understand why I can't even look at a TV screen anymore without feeling a wave of nausea. I'm not writing this for sympathy. I just want to warn you. If you ever come across a show called Sunny Time Friends, turn it off. Don't watch it. Don't let your kids watch it. Don't even let the theme song play in the background. Just trust me. I grew up in a small town in the Midwest, the kind of place where nothing ever really happens. My parents both worked long hours, so after school I'd come home, drop my backpack by the door and flip on the TV. Cartoons were my escape. They were bright, safe, predictable. I could lose myself in their worlds and forget about the loneliness that crept in when the sun started to set. I watched everything. Old reruns, new shows, even the weird local stuff that only aired on public access channels. That's how I first found Sunny Time Friends. It was a Tuesday, late October, and the air outside was already turning cold. I remember the static on the screen as I flipped through the channels, looking for something to distract me from the silence of the empty house. Channel 17 was usually just a test pattern, but that day there was something different. A bright, cheerful logo filled the screen, and a voice chirped, "It's time for Sunny Time Friends." The animation was crude, almost amateurish, but there was something hypnotic about it. The characters, an orange rabbit, a blue bear, and a yellow bird, danced across a field of sunflowers, their faces frozen in wide, painted-on smiles. I should have changed the channel. I should have known something was off. But I was a kid, and kids are curious. I watched as the rabbit, the bear, and the bird played games, sang songs, and told jokes that didn't quite make sense. The colors were too bright, the music too loud, and the laughter too forced. But I couldn't look away. It was like the show was daring me to keep watching, to see how weird it could get. The first episode ended with the characters waving goodbye, their eyes never blinking, their smiles never fading. I felt a little dizzy, but I shrugged it off. Maybe I'd just been staring at the screen too long. I turned off the TV and went to bed. But that night I had the first nightmare. I was running through a field of sunflowers, the sky a sickly shade of yellow, the cartoon characters chasing me, their mouths stretched wide, their voices echoing in my head. The next morning, I woke up with a pounding headache and a sour taste in my mouth. I barely touched my breakfast, and my mom asked if I was coming down with something. I just shrugged and told her I was fine. I didn't mention the nightmare, or the way my skin prickled every time I thought about those painted-on smiles. I figured it was just a weird dream, the kind you forget about by lunchtime. But as the day went on, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. My friends at school seemed off too, quieter than usual, distracted. At recess, I overheard two kids talking about a new cartoon they'd seen, one with a rabbit and a bear and a bird. Their voices were hushed, almost nervous. When I got home that afternoon, I found myself drawn back to the TV. I told myself I just wanted to see if Sunny Time Friends was real, or if I'd imagined the whole thing. Channel 17 was static at first, but then just as the clock hit 4, the show flickered to life. The same garish colors, the same grating theme song. This time, the episode was different. The characters played a game of hide and seek, but the way they moved was jerky, unnatural. like puppets with tangled strings. The rabbit hid behind a tree, but its head twisted all the way around to watch the others. The bear laughed, but the sound was distorted, too low and too slow, like a tape played backward. I felt sick to my stomach, but I couldn't turn away. The episode ended with the bird staring straight into the camera, its eyes wide and unblinking. "See you tomorrow," it chirped, but the voice was wrong, warbly, almost metallic. When the screen finally went black, I realized I was sweating. My hands clenched so tightly, my knuckles were white. That night, the nightmares came back, worse than before. I dreamed I was trapped in the cartoon, the sunflowers towering over me, the sky swirling with unnatural colors. The rabbit, the bear, and the bird circled me, their faces melting, their voices overlapping in a chorus of static and laughter. I woke up, gasping, tangled in my sheets, my heart racing. The next day at school, the nurse's office was full. Kids complained of headaches, stomach aches, dizziness. Some said they'd thrown up in the night. A rumor started to spread, something about a cartoon that made you sick if you watched it. I tried to laugh it off, but I could see the fear in my friends' eyes. We all knew what show they were talking about, even if no one wanted to say the name out loud. By the end of that week, Sunnytime Friends was all anyone could talk about, even though most of us pretended we hadn't seen it. The teachers started to notice something was wrong. Kids were falling asleep at their desks, snapping at each other over nothing, or just staring off into space. The principal made an announcement about a flu bug going around, but nobody believed it. We all knew it was the cartoon. Some kids said their little brothers and sisters had started sleepwalking, wandering the house at night with glassy eyes, humming the show's theme song under their breath. I tried to stop watching, I really did, but every afternoon at 4, I'd find myself in front of the TV, hands shaking, as I turned to Channel 17. It was like the show was calling to me, pulling me in. The episodes got stranger, the colors grew harsher, the music more discordant. The characters started talking directly to the camera, their voices layered with static, their words twisting into nonsense. Sometimes the screen would flicker, and for a split second, I'd see flashes of something else, images that didn't belong in a children's show. A dark room, a figure standing in the corner, eyes watching from the shadows. One day I tried to record an episode on our old VCR, hoping I could show my parents and prove I wasn't making it up. But when I played the tape back, all I got was static and a high-pitched whine that made my ears ring. My mom found me sitting in front of the TV, crying, and she unplugged it, telling me I needed to get some fresh air. I wanted to tell her everything, but the words stuck in my throat. I was scared she'd think I was crazy, or worse, that she'd make me watch the show again to prove it was harmless. The nightmares kept coming. I stopped sleeping through the night, waking up drenched in sweat, convinced the cartoon characters were hiding in my closet or under my bed. At school, more kids started getting sick. Some were sent home with fevers. Others just disappeared without explanation. The rumor mill went wild. Some said the show was cursed. Others claimed it was a government experiment gone wrong. A few kids even said they'd seen the rabbit, the bear, and the bird outside their windows at night, watching, waiting. I started keeping a journal, writing down everything I remembered from each episode, every strange detail, every feeling of dread. I hoped that if I could make sense of it, maybe the nightmares would stop. But the more I wrote, the less any of it made sense. The show seemed to change every time I watched it, as if it was alive, adapting to my fears. One afternoon, about 2 weeks after I'd first seen the show, I came home to find my mom on the phone, her voice tight with worry. She was talking to another parent, and I caught bits and pieces. Doctor said it's a virus. Can't keep anything down. Night terrors. I slipped past her and went straight to my room, but I could feel her eyes on me, searching for signs that I was getting sick too. I wanted to tell her everything, but I was afraid. Afraid she'd think I was lying. Or worse, that she'd make me stop watching TV altogether. And even though I hated the show, I couldn't stop. It was like an itch in my brain, a compulsion I couldn't fight. That day, when 4 o'clock rolled around, I turned on the TV almost without thinking. The screen flickered, and there they were, the rabbit, the bear, and the bird, standing in the sunflower field. But something was different. The colors were washed out. The sky, a bruised purple instead of yellow. The characters didn't move or speak. They just stared at the camera, their smiles gone, their eyes wide and empty. The silence stretched on, broken only by a faint buzzing, like a swarm of flies. I felt a wave of nausea, stronger than before. My head throbbed, and my vision blurred at the edges. I tried to turn off the TV, but my hand wouldn't move. I was frozen, trapped in my own body, forced to watch as the cartoon world twisted and warped. The sunflowers wilted, their petals turning black and falling away. The rabbit's fur began to peel, revealing something raw and red underneath. The bear's mouth stretched open, wider and wider, until it split the side of its face. The bird's eyes rolled back, leaving only white. I don't know how long I sat there, paralyzed by fear and sickness. When I finally managed to break free, I stumbled to the bathroom and threw up until my throat burned. My mom found me curled up on the floor, shaking. She wanted to take me to the doctor, but I begged her not to. I told her it was just a stomach bug, that I'd be fine. She didn't believe me, but she let it go. That night, I locked my bedroom door and pushed my dresser in front of it, just in case. The next morning, I found out that 3 kids from my class were in the hospital. No one would say exactly what was wrong, but the rumors spread fast. Some said they'd gone catatonic. Others whispered about seizures and hallucinations. The school sent home a letter warning parents to monitor what their kids were watching on TV. But it was too late. The damage was already done. After that, everything changed. The school felt emptier, quieter, as if the sickness had drained the life out of the halls. Teachers spoke in hushed voices, glancing nervously at the clock as 4 o'clock approached. Some parents started picking their kids up early, and a few families just packed up and left town altogether. The rest of us tried to act normal, but we all knew something was wrong. We could feel it, like a pressure in the air, a heaviness that settled over everything. I stopped watching TV, or at least I tried. My mom hid the remote and unplugged the set, but it didn't matter. The show was in my head now. I'd hear the theme song in my dreams, see flashes of the rabbit's peeling fur every time I closed my eyes. I started drawing the characters in the margins of my notebooks at school, their faces growing more twisted and monstrous with each sketch. My friends did the same, as if we were all trying to exorcise the images from our minds. But it didn't help. If anything, it made things worse. One night, I woke up to the sound of static. At first I thought it was just the old TV in the living room, but when I listened closer, I realized it was coming from inside my room. I sat up, heart pounding, and saw the screen of my alarm clock flickering, numbers twisting into nonsense symbols. The air was thick with the smell of burning plastic. I tried to get out of bed, but my legs wouldn't move. I was paralyzed again, just like when I watched the show. The room grew colder, and I saw shadows moving in the corners, shapes that didn't belong. The rabbit, the bear, and the bird stepped out of the darkness, their bodies glitching and flickering like a broken VHS tape. They circled my bed, their mouths moving in silent laughter, their eyes locked on mine. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. The rabbit leaned in close, its breath hot and sour on my face. "It's time for sunny time, friends," it whispered, its voice layered with static and something else, something ancient and hungry. I don't remember what happened after that. I must have blacked out, because the next thing I knew it was morning, and my mom was shaking me awake, her face pale with worry. She said she'd heard me screaming, but when she tried to open the door, it wouldn't budge. The dresser was still in front of it, just like I'd left it, but somehow I knew the cartoon characters had been in my room. I could still feel their eyes on me, watching, waiting. After that night, I stopped sleeping altogether. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the sunflower field, wilted and black, the cartoon characters waiting for me at the edge of the screen. My grades slipped, and I started missing school. My mom took me to doctors, therapists, even a priest, but no one could explain what was happening. They all said the same thing: stress, anxiety, maybe a touch of the flu that was going around. But I knew better. I knew it was the show. Word spread that Channel 17 had gone off the air. Some said the station manager had a breakdown and smashed all the equipment. Others claimed the FCC had gotten involved, but no one could find any official record of Sunny Time Friends ever airing. The tapes, if there were any, vanished. The only proof the show had ever existed was in our memories and in the scars it left behind. Kids who'd watched the show changed. Some became withdrawn, barely speaking, their eyes dull and unfocused. Others grew violent, lashing out at teachers and parents, screaming about the rabbit, the bear, and the bird. A few just disappeared, their families moving away in the middle of the night, leaving empty houses and unanswered questions. The rest of us tried to move on, but the nightmares never really stopped. Even now, years later, I'll catch a glimpse of a cartoon rabbit or hear a certain melody, and my stomach will twist with fear. I tried to find answers. I searched online forums, old newspaper archives, anything that might explain what happened. I found stories from other towns, other kids, all eerily similar. Strange cartoons that aired for a few weeks, then vanished, leaving a trail of sickness and fear. Some people called it a mass hallucination. Others blamed subliminal messages or experimental signals. But no one could explain the way the show seemed to know us, to change and adapt to our fears. Sometimes I wonder if the show is still out there, waiting for a new audience. Maybe it's changed its name, its characters, its channel. Maybe it's just waiting for the right kid to flip through the static and find it again. If you ever see a cartoon that feels wrong, that makes your skin crawl and your head ache, turn it off. Don't watch. Don't let your curiosity get the better of you. I wish I could say this story has a happy ending, that I grew up and left it all behind. But the truth is, some things stay with you. Some things you can't unsee. I still keep my curtains closed at night, and I never ever watch TV alone. And sometimes, when the house is quiet and the lights are low, I swear I can hear that theme song drifting through the static, calling me back to the field of sunflowers, where the rabbit, the bear, and the bird are still waiting for their next friend.